Oh, hi everybody. It's a pleasure to be part of the Global Live Speakers community. I'm looking forward to getting to know you all a little bit better. My name's John Molyneux and I'm the Sales Samurai. I'll explain why I go by that name further down the introduction. I started off, my kind of journey began many years ago. I kind of always go back to the military days. I spent in my early 20s, I was in the military for a few years. And it was an experience, a very good life experience. Previous to that, I was kind of struggling finding full-time work and everything, so I was kind of in and out of jobs, and I just decided to try the army. And I was in there for a good few years, and I got a lot of life skills from that. But there was some negatives as well. It was a more difficult transition coming back to, should we say, civilian life than it was going in. I found the transition harder coming out than it was actually entering the military and getting used to it. Little things like struggling getting back into life by paying bills and that kind of thing was quite a wake up call, because when you're in the military, it's quite a difficult life, but you do have the roof over your head, you do get your bills paid, you do get fed and watered and that kind of thing. So you don't really have to worry about any of those things like bills and that kind of thing, and rent and what have you. So those were kind of quite tricky to sort of adjust to. But I also had a stint of drugs. I turned to drugs for a while because I was a little bit messed up and didn't really know what to do. I also experienced a little bit of homelessness as well. Luckily, touch wood, it didn't last for very long. I didn't end up on the streets as such for very long. I was kind of sofa surfing and that kind of thing, but it still wasn't a very pleasant experience. So what I did was I went back to my hometown, and I wasn't really happy there. I kept getting itchy feet and trying to travel and that kind of thing, and then eventually I relocated to a different part of the country, Cornwall in England, the southwest of England. And when I moved there, I discovered an opportunity to become a martial arts instructor, and I thought, this is just what I need to get focused, get my sort of life back on track, get fit, get the discipline that I'm lacking from the military. It's kind of ticked all the boxes, so that's what I did. And I was doing that for years, about 4 or 5 years, and I got my black belt. Probably a lot faster than a student would, purely because I was doing it 4 or 5 times a week, week in, week out, whereas a student might train once or twice a week. So it was kind of a fast track. But I was also, a part of the job was I got all the training for free, and I got the belts and grades I didn't pay for, but I was expected to go out and promote the karate classes and build up new students for the classes. So that's what I did. So that's kind of my foundation to selling and sales, was actually doing door to door and promoting the karate classes, because there wasn't a lot of money in it, but I still learned a lot of skills and overcoming rejections on the door and that kind of thing, and building rapport and lots of this sort of fundamental sales skills. And what I also realised was there was a lot of crossovers between sales and martial arts, which is why I came up with the brand Sales Samurai. Many years later, I just thought, these similarities just keep coming up over and over again, like, for example, patience and discipline and perseverance. Those were all the things that I was doing in the martial arts, but I was also doing the same things in sales. You had to persevere, and you couldn't give up on prospects, and you had to repetitions and other things. So when you're doing martial arts, you're doing the same punches over and over again, or you're doing the same kicks over and over again. The same with, you may be reading a sales script over and over again, or you might be knocking on the doors over and over again in my case. So there's lots of similarities between martial arts and sales and selling. And so what I've done is I've blended the two together, and I kind of keep the theme running through both. So yeah, there was a really kind of, should we say, well, it was a lot of it was enjoyable, but a lot of it was quite brutal as well. Obviously, not just physically, the karate training was brutal, but knocking on doors, especially in the UK, you've got wind and sleet and rain, and it's torrential. So a lot of the time I was getting drenched head to foot, and then you might not get any appointments or any students in the night. So yeah, it was quite challenging, but it was that kind of foundation. It was that really sharpened my sales skills for my future career. So eventually I realised that the karate was not a career. I wasn't going to be able to make money from it long term. I was finding that I was running these classes. Sometimes you wouldn't have anybody show up. So I was paying for the hall, the cost of the hall, and it wasn't even covering the expenses. So it came to the stage where I managed to get my black belt, and I thought, right, well, I've managed to achieve what I wanted to. That was my driving goal, but I can't carry on doing this. It's just not putting food on the table. So unfortunately, that didn't work out. But what I did do was I took everything from that and I pursued a sales career, and I've never looked back because it's been onwards and upwards since then. And also, I still do martial arts. I've competed in other styles. I've done Muay Thai and various other arts. I'm still passionate about it, and it's still one of my main hobbies and interests. I do weapons. I do nunchucks and sticks and everything. So yeah, I'm still mad about martial arts, which is why the Sales Samurai still works. Yeah, so I went on from that, and I carried on doing. I started to do stuff from home. Because I carried on doing a little bit of door knocking after, and I did it for Windows, and I still had some more success, but I thought I've kind of come to the end of my journey with door knocking. I think I've got everything that I can from it, and it was just like the next step was to take things home and do affiliate marketing online, lead generation online using kind of LinkedIn and that kind of thing. So and eventually I started closing high ticket for influencers and businesses and that kind of thing. But we're going back to LinkedIn. What I started doing on there was making video content, because about 2 or 3 years ago, it was really good time for video content on LinkedIn. It was kind of booming. And if you did videos, you were kind of standing out from the crowd because not everybody did it. So I managed to get a decent following on LinkedIn, about 8,000 followers, but lots of engagement and comments and stuff on my videos. It kind of tailed off after a few months. I don't know why. It kind of turned into a bit of a ghost town with like tumbleweeds going past and no engagement anymore. And I don't really know the reasons behind that. I don't think my content changed or anything, but maybe just the actual platform took a different direction. Whatever the case was, I didn't kind of think, oh, well, that's it. I used the skills and the kind of confidence I got, because I hated the sound of my voice and I hated the idea of videoing myself. I was cringe, but you kind of get used to it, like kind of feel the pain and do it anyway. So it was definitely like that. So that's what I did. But then I thought, well, I can transfer this to a podcast, and I just literally did it. I didn't have a clue how to do podcasting, and I literally did it with an old laptop, and I just started recording them. It was simple as that. And then I learned as I went along, and I interviewed guests, and then realised I should do solo episodes as well. So I started doing Sales Samurai solo sessions, managed to get a decent following, rebranded as well, which was an important move. So I was originally called the Success Breeds Success Show, but I rebranded to Cold Calling and Closing Mastery, and that's really kind of set me on the stage and made me stand out, because it's very niche, isn't it? So you have a lot of sales podcasts out there, but not everybody talks about cold calling and closing specifically. So that's why I kind of stand out in that respect. So that was a good move as well. So definitely a learning curve, and I've had to adjust things and change things along the way, but that's that's the best way of learning, isn't it? In trying and failing and then taking a different direction and pivoting and that kind of thing. So that's what I've had to do. And it's been should we say, a bit of a roller coaster, but that's how a lot of the times we have to do things, isn't it? And that's how we sort of improve and progress and everything. So that's what I've done. So moving on from there, what I did is very sort of, since the COVID struck, I mean, obviously it was a good move for me to do all my sales and stuff from home. But I also thought, well, now would be a time to do something that I've been thinking about for many years, and that's write a book. Because it's something that I kind of procrastinated on, and I always thought about it in my head as some really big, really difficult thing to do. When you plan it and you sit down and just actually start putting the framework together and get moving with it, it was really quite a simple process. I wouldn't have wanted to do the editing and the publishing side of it. I got somebody to work with me on that side. That might have been quite tricky. So if you're not comfortable with that part of it, then I would recommend getting somebody to do that with you or for you. That's what I did. But the actual writing of it and the creating of the chapters and the title and everything, I did all that. So and the plan that I did, and it was somebody that helped me that was already an author there, kind of gave me the framework and how to do it. And he said it's actually a guy called Ben Gay. He's very well known in the sales world. He's had some successful closers series. He's written 3 or 4 books on closing. And he said what I needed was to write all the chapters out before I started, so I know the names of each chapter, which I did. And then at the end, he said, you need a North Star, so that's like something to aim for. And what he meant by that is that's the very last sentence of the book. So I did that as well. I had a North Star to aim for, and it did. It kind of worked, and it gave me something to aim for. And then I just worked my way progressively through. And all in all, I think it only took me about 2 months tops to finish it. So a lot of people, if you are thinking of writing a book and you're kind of putting it off, just sit down, plan it, and as soon as you get started, I think I dedicated about half an hour a day to it. And obviously it was easier because we were in lockdown anyway, but before you knew it, I had it written, published, and it was available on Amazon. So yeah, Sales Samurai Master. It's available on Amazon and Kindle. So yeah, please give it a read and give me some feedback. Here's the actual book itself. If you wanted the paperback version, it's really thin because I didn't want to write War and Peace on the sales, something like a big thick book like that, because everybody would be bored, wouldn't they? It's literally a no fluff sales book that's aimed at beginners and people that are even seasoned salespeople are going to pick up bits and that from it. So yeah, that was what I was trying to achieve from that, and it's been off to a great start. So I've been getting some good feedback, some good reviews, and it's all going really well. At the very moment, what I'm doing right now is I'm looking to get as many speaking engagements, which is why I'm so glad to be a part of this community, and I hope we go from strength to strength. And I want to get to know a lot more of you guys on the inside as well, so I'm really looking forward to that. But my other goal is to just keep sharing my sales knowledge to as much people as possible, especially about cold calling and closing, because those are my strengths. People have a kind of fear, especially about cold calling and just sales in general. So I want to try and change people's views on it. And let people know that it's not something to be shy away from or be ashamed of. We're not all sleazy, horrible salesmen. I'm a sales professional. I'm a sales samurai. So that's why I try and bring that into it, that you can respect people in sales, and we're humble and we're honest and we're approachable, and we're just here to help you and serve you and that kind of thing. It's nothing to do with sleaziness or anything like that, or trying to con you out of money. So that's what I'm really trying to do. Another place I'm spending a lot of time on at the moment is Clubhouse. I think that's got a lot of potential. I've made some really good connections on there. I also have my own club on there called the Sales Samurai Club. So if you're already on there, guys, please follow me. I'm running 2 rooms a week. Well, most of the time I'm running a Tuesday and a Friday. I keep testing the water with different times and that kind of thing. But I'm kind of looking at Tuesdays and Fridays are going to be a set thing. So Tuesday I cover anything to do with high ticket closing on the phones. So closing high ticket deals on the phones. And then the Friday one is just Sales Samurai sessions, where I just talk about anything sales related, from kind of prospecting to following up to anything to do with sales, like getting over the fear of it, whatever kind of building sales teams, whatever you kind of areas people want to talk about or ask questions about, those are the topics I cover in there. I also have a free Facebook group with the same name, Cold Calling and Closing Mastery. Please join me there. But what I'm also putting into motion is a subscription Facebook group as well, which is probably going to be about $15 a month, something like that. I don't want to charge people extortionate amounts, but I'm going to do masterminds every week, purely because I've been getting so much good feedback from the Clubhouse. I feel there should be somewhere where they can come and kind of get that kind of material from me. So that's kind of my introduction today. So what I do tend to talk about is, when I sort of do talks, is anything sales related. I can talk about my background and overcoming the adversities of being homeless and that kind of thing, and getting like transitioning back from the military and just overcoming all the heartaches and the troubles that I've been through. But my main kind of goal is to help people with sales and selling and that kind of thing. So I am in the process. I do offer one-on-one coaching if that would be interested to anybody. But I also am in the process of putting down a cold calling and closing mastery course, which is going to be a 6-week course where you're going to get 90 minutes each week for those 6 weeks, covering different aspects from cold calling to closing and everything in between, guys. So it's been an absolute pleasure introducing myself to you today. I bow to you all. Respect is due, and I'll hopefully speak to you all soon. Take care.